How much does it cost to travel to Portugal? In this video, we are going to show you all the costs and explain exactly how much money you need to make a nice trip to Portugal, guys. To get to Lisbon, to get to Porto and the main tourist attractions, including lodging, costs, airfare, tickets, travel insurance, chip, everything so that you can know exactly what makes up a trip to Portugal. So guys, let's go. Without further ado, let's go. Hey guys, for those who don't know me, I am Gabriel Lorenzi, creator of the blog Grupo Dicas, one of the largest travel content networks in the world. Well, we put together a cool video explaining quickly and very directly, very explanatory with a super spreadsheet that we put together here on the side, how much it costs for you to make a trip to Portugal. We will include everything. We'll give you quick tips to know what you need to book, what you have to include in your budget, so you can have a general idea of what the total cost of a trip is, both to Portugal and to Europe, because the countries there are very similar prices. If you want to exchange your trip to another country, to Spain, to visit Paris, the prices are more or less the same, so you can get a good idea of the approximate value for your entire trip. In general, places in Europe are very close, so you can use this as an example for others. In people, Portugal is very generic. There is Lisbon, there is Porto, but there are others. There are beaches in the Algarve, there is Sintra, Cascais, Fátima. We are going to leave here half of the places. All of them are very similar in terms of price, lodging, transportation. So the value here is considering more or less one trip. We took Lisbon 7 days and Porto 3 days, which we think is the idea with the round trip is between. But to give you an idea, but regardless of this, the value will be more or less like this. If you want to go to some beach, if you want to go to Fátima, explore other cities in Portugal, this value will be approximate. It will give you an idea of how much your trip will cost, guys. Of course, there's going to be a little difference, but in general, this is what it looks like. Guys, an important tip before I open the table, let's go. We calculated a trip lasting 10 days, so that are 10 days of total trip. All the values that I put here are for 10 days, so the total value is already complete. It's the value per person. If you're traveling with 2 people, you multiply it by 2, in 3 by 3, but this value that will be here is also per person for 10 days of traveling and in a period of low and good season that we call. Why is that? Because in the whole of Europe, in all countries, June, July and August is the European summer and everything is much more expensive. So these values here, I researched it for October 1st to October 10th, which is a very good time to go to Europe. It's not cold yet and everything's cheaper, but if you intend to travel during the European summer, June, July, August, then you will have to increase by 25 or 30% because things are more expensive. This value is for the October period for 10 days per person. We'll put it in euros. We will not use any currency because the euro is the official currency of the trip to Europe. So if I use another currency, the exchange rate will vary. It will be a big difference. In 2 months times, the way the market's volatile, the currencies will change, rise and fall, the whole exchange rate will change. So the safest and most practical way is for us to set up the values in euros, which is much more difficult to change, and then you research on the date you are watching this video, you will do the conversion and see everything else in your currency. So let's go to it. Let's start with the first item to travel to Portugal, guys. So officially opening the table, we are going to put 2 columns that you see here, which are 2 profiles. We always do it like this. The economic profile will put here the values for a person who wants to travel, saving as much as possible on everything. They want everything to be cheaper. They really want to enjoy the trip. They don't care about staying in a quiet hotel. They don't want to go on a tour, a very economical cost. And on the other side, the comfort column, which we call the profile that wants to have a little bit more comfort, a slightly nicer hotel, do a little more sightseeing, spend a little more and have a slightly more complete trip. So we are going to put these 2 profiles together and see which one you fit. So let's go. The air ticket is the first item you have to hire for your trip. It's one of the most expensive items. The value that we found here is 800 euros a round trip ticket, already a round trip. This value can be found cheaper. It's difficult nowadays, but it's possible. If you search, keep searching for promotions, you might find a little bit cheaper, but the prices are high and you will see that you will find many prices above that. So this is a good average, a good ticket. There are many flights. Search. Sometimes there are flights to Paris, to Barcelona, London, cheaper. Then you take an international flight to Lisbon. There are several things you can do to try to find a promotion, but this is the value from our airport from Brazil, which is the biggest airport in South America, to Lisbon, and a general average. Depending on where you are, it may be a little more expensive. You have to see which city, which airport is closest, which is country you are located in to be able to calculate exactly, but this is a general average for us to calculate our calculations here, our sheet, to the prices. We put an average and then you adjust to the country and to the exchange. Now the hotel, the lodging. How much will you spend on lodging? Guys, for the entire 10 days of the trip, we'll put here 400 euros in the economy column and 600 euros in the comfort column. The economy one is a little 3-star hotel, a little simpler with not so good ratings, and the comfort that increases a little bit, going to 600 euros the total. We have chosen a small 3 or 4-star hotel for this one with a better rating, a slightly nicer location, but both are good options. Just for you to have an idea, I'll put some pictures of a hotel of this class, of this price that we looked for, just for you to have an idea, but they are well located hotels. So even take the opportunity to leave here below in the description of the video and in the first fixed comment the hotel that we stayed in, that it was very good, an excellent cost benefit ratio, it was good, cheap, well located. Take a look down here and see that it was sensational and close to everything. You were able to do almost everything on foot. It was very nice. I'll leave below the link and all the links to everything we use to make our trips. These are the places we already know. We know they are the cheapest places, where to buy the cheapest travel chip, where to buy the cheapest hotel, where to buy the cheapest tickets, travel insurance that's mandatory. Guys, I'll leave below a guide for you to plan your entire trip, saving the most on everything, guys. Then use the links here below and in the first comment that you will save a lot on your entire trip with good services with a lot of quality. And now let's talk about transportation, how much you will spend to get around in these 10 days of travel. Just like many other cities in Europe, they are very similar. If you are well located, you don't need a car, you can easily do everything on foot. At some point or another, you have to take a cab, an Uber, or use the subway to get from the airport to your hotel. You have to pay a transfer to go there and then to come back. So we calculated an average that we put all the costs more or less per person. We'll put here 100 euros in the two columns is the cost for you to spend with transportation. There are some places that it's worth renting a car. For example, if you're going to travel in the interior of Portugal, Italy, or Germany, there are places that it's worth renting a car. It's very nice. The price will be a little bit more expensive than that, but then you have the freedom to do all the tours and trips that are amazing. But in general, we'll leave the 100 euros, which is what most people opt for when they travel to Europe in general. And now the travel insurance. How much does international travel insurance cost? But Gabriel, do I really need to take out international travel insurance? Yes, you do. For Europe, it's mandatory. Even for the countries that are not, we always recommend that you take it because it's very cheap and it covers you from absurd expenses of fortunes that you would spend if you have an unforeseen event, get hurt, have an accident. So do it for everywhere in the world, but for Europe, it's mandatory for all countries except England. England and two more that are less frequented countries, but all of the other countries, it's only England that's not mandatory. To enter all the others, you need to have insurance, and insurance is very cheap. I'll put here for you to see. It's 30 euros per person, and it's an insurance that covers you during your whole trip with an obligatory rule of the European Union, which is a medical assistance of at least 30,000 euros. This is the requirement that Europe demands from tourists who travel there. You can get a very good insurance with this coverage. It's very cheap. I'll put it here. Don't forget to take it so you won't have the problems at the entrance. And this value, people, you will see that's very cheap. You might look somewhere and say, Gabriel, you are traveling, the value is very cheap, here it's much more expensive. Yes, it's because we are looking in the places we know that's cheaper. I'll leave all the links. Guys, use these links. This one, for example, is a comparator that comparing all travel insurance companies, and it finds the insurance cheaper than in the insurance companies themselves and for less than half of the price than in travel agencies. So these are places that we already know are the cheapest, so take a look, use the links to calculate your trip before you go see anywhere else, and you will see that the price can be a huge difference from there. And now let's talk about the travel chip. To be able to use your cell phone and the internet in Europe, one of the ways, in our opinion, is the easiest, cheapest, simplest way for you to use your cell phone there. It's to buy a travel chip. These are prepaid chips that you buy. Most of the time it's much cheaper than international roaming of your local operator, the company you already have on your cell phone bill. So buy the chip. It's the easiest way to talk abroad. It's costing here the 5 GB plan, which is a very good package with a lot of internet for the 10 days of trip, which works in the whole of Europe independent of the other countries. The nice thing about this chip is that it works in all of Europe, and it costs 40 euros per person. So 40 euros is the 2 columns. That's a pretty cool 5 GB plan. Now let's talk about food, guys. The food varies a lot, okay? It's very difficult to estimate, but I came up with a bill to be able to guide you a little bit. It's just for you to have an idea. I put here per day, per person, 40 euros per person in economy and 70 euros per person in comfort. So it was 400 and 700 multiplied by the 10 days of the trip, okay? This is a value. Can you spend less than this? Yes, if you go to the supermarket and buy a lot of pasta with 3 euros a day, you will survive. One thing is to survive and another thing is to enjoy the trip, not to have too much trouble. 40 euros, guys, I think is the minimum for you to be able to eat something nice at night. Eating a pizza, snacks, fast food is very cheap in the whole of Europe. You can share it with whoever is with you. Buy something at the market. Don't keep buying water, things. There are many tactics there to save money, but I think 40 euros for food in your whole day. I think that you will have coffee in the afternoon, you will have a beer, a drink, some candy, a snack, something, so we cover everything there. 40 euros and 70 euros for those who want a little more comfort to have lunch in a nice place. Guys, the restaurants there are sensational, the food there is very good, so enjoy. Take a nice place, go to a nice place in the afternoon, have some beer, watching the sunset, which is beautiful, so you will spend a little bit more, okay? This is the approximate value. And now the cost of the tours. The tours also vary a lot, so in economy I put 0. If you want to save a lot, you don't need to spend on anything. Lisbon, Porto, they are incredible cities you can explore by walking along the beaches. The Tower of Belém you see from afar, you don't need to enter it. The cable car, you can take a ride on the boat in Chiado. There are many nice things to do in all of Portugal, in the little towns. If you rent a car, you can go to Fátima, Sintra, Cascais, you can get around, but our recommendation is that you do at least some of the main tours. So in the economy column, I'll put 200 euros, which is the amount needed to buy the ticket to go to Lisbon Oceanarium, which is a very nice tour, to do a round trip that the agency takes you to Sintra. Sintra is a very nice town with several castles, so combined with the Oceanarium is a very nice trip. The tickets to take the cable car in Lisbon, these are the main tours. With 200 euros per person, you can do about 4 of these tours that are very nice and worthwhile. And this price is with the websites that we buy the tickets, which is the cheapest place. It's much cheaper than buying it on the spot. I'll leave the link here below for you to take a look. You can take a look at them. And for those who live in Brazil, it's one of the only websites that charges in your currency. You can pay with Pix and don't pay the 6% IOF, so it's very advantageous. It's cheaper. Take a look and research, because there are many cool tours. You will already get an idea of what to do there on your trip. So we finished the spreadsheet. Let's go to the final value, guys. I'm focusing this video on the trips, only on values. There's a lot of great videos. There is one if you want to travel that are very cheaply, saving a lot, putting together your whole trip to Portugal. Type it in, or I'll leave it on the final screen of this video or in the last few seconds. I'll leave it here, the one on how to travel cheaply to Portugal, Gabriel. You will see that the video, it's a very complete video that I teach how to set up the entire trip, saving a lot on everything with all the tips, the best places. Take a look. look. That's the key video to organize a trip there. And going to the final numbers, the economic profile who wants to travel to Portugal for 10 days, 1,170 euros, and for the comfort profile it's 2,470 euros. So people, this is the approximate value. It's very difficult to travel with less. There are people who sell much lower values, half of that. You can travel much cheaper, sometimes you can, but you have to get promotions, you have to include all the costs, so be careful with the little tricks so that you don't have any trouble or any scam during your trip. So research a lot, take a look at the prices and see which thing is better for you, but this is the approximate value for you to have a safe trip. And that's it guys, I hope you liked the video. If you like it, please don't forget to give us that like because it really helps us, and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to watch the other videos that are very good. I'm going to highlight the one about how to travel very cheaply there, and the playlist with all the other videos for you to enjoy your trip. So thanks a lot guys, and have nice trips.